Okay, hello everyone. This is Jim Stroud of the Jim Stroud Show. I am your host, Jim Stroud. Go figure, what are the odds? Okay, today I have a special guest, a pal of mine who I am very happy to be speaking with here on the Jim Stroud Show, and that is Jeremy Langhans. Jeremy, how are you, sir?
I am doing excellent. How are you?
I am doing quite well. Wanted to talk a little bit with you about innovation in the social recruiting space. I really like some of the things you are doing over there at Starbucks, but before I get into that, if you would, pretty Twitter style, let people know who you are and what you do.
Cool. Great. So I am Jeremy Langhans, obviously, and I lead the global brand and talent attraction function at Expedia. And prior to that, obviously, was at Starbucks. And I'm really into digital marketing. I'm a former recruiter, so I bring that lens, and I'm kind of a social media junkie.
Very cool. One thing that really put you on my mind while I was reading these articles, you know I'm an information junkie, so I'm always reading stuff. But I've been reading a lot of buzz about Instagram and how it's just really blowing up. Like it had I think 27 million users, I think is where it is right now. And they're gearing up for a IPO, at least ideally is what they're trying to build up for. And I read this article that they just got some funding, which would make their valuation about $500 million. And I was like, wow, they're really, really doing things. And I was wondering, okay, this is sort of a site, a mobile site actually, that is really breaking a lot of ground. It's starting to pick up a lot of steam. And I wonder who is out there really leveraging Instagram from a recruiting perspective. And I looked around and see too many people out there doing it, but I did notice the stuff that you were doing. Would you talk a little bit about some of the stuff you do with Instagram?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, first of all, Instagram, it's an awesome, I use it as an iPhone app. It's an awesome social network. It really puts the media into social media. So kind of the context there is for years now, 4 or 5 years, we've been messing around with social media, trying to apply it to our vertical of staffing. And essentially the outcome, broadly speaking, was a lot of text, a lot of links to more text, tracking those links, tracking if the text was working that I was linking to, and really no media, meaning no photography, maybe some videos on YouTube, but 90% of the tweets I saw out there, for example, was, here's a link to the job description. That's not really exciting to me. And as a branding guy, what I started to dabble with was, what if I represented, so kind of the idea of a picture is 1,000 words. What if I have 140 characters in the tweet, but I can put a picture? Can that picture say more to my audience than 140 characters would ever say to my audience? Mm-hmm. So at Starbucks, what I started doing was using Instagram in 2 ways. One was tactical, one was strategic. The tactical way was just as a utility or an application to essentially upload photos to my Twitter account at Starbucks Jobs. And this was early on. And so, over a year ago, I just needed something to get my photos on Twitter. And then that was the tactical piece. And the strategy was really, a picture is 1,000 words. And it was hard, though. I mean, most of the recruiters were like, well, I don't know how to represent my job description in a photo. So I kind of bypassed that, and I just decided to go ahead and represent Starbucks and sell the company through photography.
Very cool. Now, I know when you're doing it, Instagram was only on the iPhone, but I read recently that it's about to open up to Android, so it's going to have an even bigger audience, sort of a bigger opportunity for companies to use Instagram as a branding tool, wouldn't you say? Yeah,
and actually someone was just telling me either it's, and I've been busy with my new role, either it's coming out next week or it came out last week. I mean, it's when Android hits, that's going to be big. But even right now, with it just being an iPhone app, the fact that it pushes to these other networks, it pushes to Facebook, it pushes Twitter, and it has filters. I think one of the draws as a user is it takes the average photographer's ability and turns it into a really hot shot. And so it's got these filters that make you look like you know what you're doing as a photographer, and then you can push it out, and then Facebook friends see it, Twitter followers see it. And then the engagement piece, I don't want to leave that out. Obviously, you can You can double tap on a photo and give it a heart that's like liking it, and then you can also add a comment, and you can tag people. You can also use hashtags. So some of that functionality that we've, I guess, grown up in the social media space with, they've implemented that here in Instagram. So not only do you have media inside social media, but some of that behavior that we're already used to is present, and we all kind of know what to do in terms of the community that is social media community.
Starbucks being such a strong brand and already has a lot of loyal followers, did you have any negativity coming out of using this technique?
No, I mean, there was some, just with anything, when you kind of put a wall out there and let people say whatever they want, which is the beautiful piece of social, is it's a playing field. There was a little bit of negative sentiment. I would say 90 to 95% was positive or neutral. Probably about 60 or 70% positive, a little piece of neutral, and then, you know, the occasional hater, right? But my strategy was just go ahead and let that comment be up there. I'm not going to react to it, and I'm going to see if my community reacts. And at the time, you know, called Starbucks Employees Partners. So is a partner going to jump up and defend the brand for us, or is a community going to police themselves? And what holds true in all social media is that essentially the community policed themselves and partners would jump in. I would support those people, but I wouldn't react, and I didn't delete anything or take down anything, because the transparency is what's so exciting about using a tool like Instagram. I'd also say that you know, some of the measurable results just in the first few months that I did it, got it going. I mean, we grew to over, I think it was over 1,300 followers. I don't know what it's at now, because it's been a few weeks since I've had that catch off, but you know, that was pretty large for essentially for an employment or HR branded photography account.
I would certainly say so. Now, would it be possible, or was it possible, to get some sort of tracking data around people who may have been exposed to the brand or Instagram, and as a result might have gone to a career page, or was that something you were not tracking because you were experimenting? What about that?
Yeah. So my opinion there is there's you know, 9 million different ways that you can find a link to a job and be tracked and put your source code in as an applicant, or tell your buddy to put you in as a referral. We already have enough of that noise. So here is an opportunity for us to do something that's really just about kind of expressing the experience of working at a company and being a candidate, and just sitting back and getting a visual representation of what it might be like to work there, and it has nothing to do with a specific requisition. So really thinking more broadly, more strategic at a higher level than, you know, hey, I need candidates for my role, or applicants for this job description, because there's enough of those tools out there. Now, in terms of what you would want to track, obviously how many followers that can help tell you if you're doing a good job or not, and then you can see how many likes you're getting, and then comments. And both the likes and comments are linked directly back to people's profiles. So if you did want to source them, that you do have that ability as well.
Very cool. Now, I'm wondering, too, could it also act as a sort of, for lack of a better term, buffer? So say, for example, you have a particular picture on Instagram, it gets a lot of likes, gets a lot of comments. What's to stop you from putting that same picture onto your Facebook page, knowing that it's already generated a lot of good love, so to speak, from Instagram? You put it on Facebook, you can also use it on Twitter, and it's already been, I guess, vetted by the masses as being a good piece of content. You know, maybe even on Pinterest for that matter. What do you think of that?
Yeah, so I mean, my philosophy on creative is, and I'm not talking about like digital strategy, but what I'm talking about is creative, is like copy, text, or photography, image files, or you know, video. So my opinion on creative is content is queen, but engagement's king, or even saying it better, on social media, engagement is king and content is queen. Back in the days of Mad Men, it was all about the content, right? They'd pitch this, you know, creative, and they would say, you know, content is king, and you'd pay for that advertisement. Well, the world has changed. It's a new day, and content still is queen. It's still the sexy piece, but engagement is king. So I don't really care if we put one photo on Instagram first and then we put it on Facebook, or we push it to all the channels at the same time. What I care about is the level of engagement. Now, assuming you put up something that is, to use the word again, sexy piece of content or unique or something that expresses your environment, work environment, etc., people will engage. Whether you get 2 likes or 20 likes, whether you get 1 comment or 30, people are going to engage with the content. Now, the trick is if you're going to reply to them. So you need to listen to your community and then reply and engage with them. And if you don't engage with them, then it's all for naught. No matter how nice the picture is, no matter how many people liked it or commented on it, if you don't respond, then there's really no dialogue, and so there's really no community. So I think that's key. And then I would track those types of efforts. I don't know if that answers your question, though.
No, it does. It does very much so. And I appreciate you saying that. And also, I'm thinking also in the back of my mind, there was something else that you did I thought was pretty innovative. Just because I had not seen much of this. It was responsive web design or something along those lines around the curve. Tell me more about that. I thought that was pretty cool because I don't think I've seen that too often, if at all.
Sure, yeah. So Fluid CSS, we kind of call it. To take a step back, so ever since the late 90s, I've been in recruiting, staffing, whether at an agency, independent, corporate contractor, hired gun, consultant, whatever you wanted to call me. But in the last few years, I've been able to get more into marketing and some of the digital strategy. And one thing I learned when I took over the Career Center globally for Starbucks, which was starbucks.com/careers gets a lot of traffic, is that people use, the data would show me that people use a lot of different devices. And I had 1 of 2 options. Option 1 is I could, develop a mobile Career Center option, in which then I would need a version for iPhone, a version for Android, a version for BlackBerry, a version for whatever device that the person might be on.
Right.
A tablet, right, an iPad. The second option I had was going with Fluid CSS or Responsive Web Design, RWD. And, in partnership with my amazing folks in Digital Ventures at Starbucks, we were able to implement Responsive Web Design for the Career Center. And what that did was allow the site to be viewed on any device, on any browser, anywhere, screen size, all with 1 implementation. So without getting too technical, and you guys can look this up again, it's Responsive Web Design or Fluid CSS. Essentially, and this is a former HR guy, now brand guy, trying to explain something very technical. But the way I understand it is the browser window, whatever size that is, whatever size you have that set at, tells the server what size the window is, and it delivers a page and delivers content that's relevant to that size. So in other words, if I'm on a really small, couple inches big screen, the browser is going to tell the server, hey, the screen's only this big. Don't send them all those other, side promo boxes. Don't send them that big video file. Don't send them that huge navigation bar. Pare it down and just send, this information over to that screen size. If I'm on a giant screen, it says send everything. Put in the ad, the ad boxes on the side and put everything in there. Make the video big. So it really responds to the size of your screen. It has nothing to do with your device. It's device agnostic, so it's on everything.
Oh, wow. That is cool. That is cool. Well, I see the time is creeping up on us here. Thank you for being on my show, and I look forward to seeing what a new innovations that you're able to bring to the industry over time. Thank you very much. My
pleasure, Jim. And just one last plug. I am speaking at the National SHRM Conference in Atlanta, I think at the end of June. I'll be speaking on social recruiting. And so if any of the audience or listeners happens to be attending the annual SHRM Conference, definitely look for me and come to my session.
Very cool. I will be there. See you then.
Thank you.